So we're in Redwood City this morning, and we're dropping off a large Haas avocado tree to Amy. And Amy asked for a wide-growing tree that would be low to the ground that she saw in one of the videos, as opposed to a tall-growing tree. So this one, when it's on the ground, will be about 6 feet tall, but when it's stretched out, it'll be about 10-11 feet wide. And what questions you have about how to take care of, or what variety, or what rootstocks, or what fruit on your tree do you have?
Yeah, I was mostly interested in the rootstock, the reason why, the type of rootstock it is, and why.
This is one of the older Haas that's grown on Toro Canyon. That's designated with the H and then the TO on the side of the box. It was grown by a grower in San Diego that does several different rootstocks. Toro Canyon being a great rootstock for kind of clayish soils, heavy hard soils. Actually comes from the Toro Canyon area, which is where my grandfather actually developed the ranches over there early on. Although he was kind of stupid, he did thoroughbreds instead of avocado trees, so he lost out.
Well, that's great rootstock for this location, Redwood City.
Yeah, I just saw the backyard.
It's clay.
She has an incredible organic garden back here, but it is nasty-looking clay.
Right. So I'm happy because that's suitable. And then I was curious just about what would create more production in terms of, annually, what really brings it on.
Well, the thing that'll really bring it on is always, of course, extra pollination.
Okay.
There might be avocado trees in the neighborhood. This isn't the worst climate. I mean, it's got a good, it's cool in the wintertime, but not like Central Valley cold, freezing solid. But yeah, always a little pollination from a different tree will help. But this is still a reasonable climate for that here in Redwood City. And Haas is pretty solid pollinator. There should be these little baby fruit here will be picked in March of 2012.
Okay.
Since we're in the spring of 2011. Yeah, it could even come off as early as February, since all the mature fruit is now in the kitchen.
Okay.
And the most important thing, again, I already talked about, is that when the contractor plants it, to put in the perforated drainage tubing, have the tree a little bit above grade. And since you live in a community with tons of oak trees that'll drop their foliage in the winter, and you can go like 4 to 6 inches deep on the oak leaf mulch.
Okay.
The natural organisms in the soil will do more to feed and keep this tree healthy than the best fertilizers you can buy.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean to fertilize, you can use anything you would put on a lawn. It doesn't have to be anything special.
Is there any, sometimes there's recommendations on various fruit trees to sort of minimize the fruiting, like pull some buds off? And
avocados do that themselves.
Okay.
They flower incredibly heavy, and probably, I don't know, maybe seems like a couple hundred of those blossoms will actually turn into a fruit.
Okay, so I don't need to manage that. It manages it by itself.
Yeah, we've already gone from Fallbrook, San Diego to Redwood City, Bay Area, and I'm surprised there's this much fruit still on here because they're still very young. If you were to let the tree dry out for a day or two, all those little babies would drop.
Off. Okay.
Yeah, you'd be screwed for next year.
Okay.
But this tree has got lots of good size fruit on it all the way up and down, and as long as it gets watered well, it could stay in the box for months if it needed to. It's better to get it in the ground since we're finally getting to that warm weather this year.
Yep.
And it'll crank out a huge supply of fruit for next season.
Okay. The only other question I have is common pests that I need to watch for.
There's no common pest in the Bay Area. If you're further south, there's persimmon mite on Haas avocados. That can be really destructive. But the common pests that'll get on here are loopers that'll make holes in the leaves.
Okay.
There's nothing that gets on this avocado tree that you should ever spray anything for.
Gotcha.
There are growers that do spray, usually spray for mites, but most of those growers still use beneficial mites to control per se a mite.
Gotcha.
There's especially here in the Bay Area, there's no reason at all to ever put a chemical on this tree.
Okay.
Like maybe a micronutrient complex,
No intention.
but that's
no intention.
yeah.
With the garden the way it is, so just looking for, if I need to watch for anything in particular.
Yeah, if you ever see any burning of the tips, it's usually too much fertilizer.
Okay.
Like right here is a little bit of fertilizer issues. This is from a farm that fertilizes probably, once a week
Sure.
to grow out their trees for commercial farmers.
Okay. Yeah, we have fertigation, actually, for some of the fruit trees.
Oh, we'll look at that in a moment.
It's supposed to be quote-unquote organic.
Yeah,
so.
we'll look at that in just a second.
Yeah, no problem.